Yes, everybody, Russell, the West Ham Network. Hope you're safe. And well, what is down me? I do apologise. No, I can't do a match day live today. I'm still working. Ran out of holiday, so I've got to work until what is down me. Anyway, I've got to carry on working till home time, unfortunately. So no match day live outside the stadium, as I've still got ran out my holidays. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about was well, let's talk about the rumour first, and then talk about why I think it can happen for a couple of reasons. Anyway, according to reports, primarily in my favourite Spanish media outlet, Fragillas, as you well know, West Ham have been heavily linked with a move for the Real Madrid highly rated Brazilian forward, Endrick. Now, firstly, people are going to say, oh, why are we getting this guy when we've got Luis Guilherme? Granted, I totally get it. However, he was arguably a bit more of a more high-profile move than Luis from Palmeiras. They both came from the same club. He moved for about 60 million euros. He actually scored in his debut in La Liga, but since then has struggled to get any real game time. Very similar to Luis Guilherme, to be honest, they're both in the same boat. But when you see he's got the likes of Mbappe and, Vinny Jr. in front of him, not surprising, really. And Rodrigo as well. He's got quite a few ahead of him. Now, because of this lack of game time, they are looking at possibly moving him out on loan for next season to get minutes. I don't think it's coincidental that we're looking to bring in a Brazilian playmaker, and there's still a question mark over our current Brazilian playmaker, whether he'll be available in next season or in the next 6 weeks, if we're led to be believed. And so they are obviously, for me, they're looking at putting in the void that could be left if Paqueta is found guilty. Now, obviously, proven innocent to guilty, obviously, but this being a civil trial rather than a court, it's slightly different. The litmus test, sort of the test to sort of prove someone. It's beyond, not necessarily beyond reasonable doubt, but probability cause, which is slightly different. Anyway, regardless of that, Gonz did a whole video about it 2 days ago, yesterday, something like that. Check it out; it's really good. So yeah, he's 18, and I think there's definitely legs in it. I can see there being legs in it. Include the report in Fajitas said that West Ham have shown a strong interest in the transfer, and what was interesting was the second line. Under the guidance of Graham Potter, the English club looks favourably in the incorporation of the young striker, trusting that his adaptation to the Premier League could be positive. In the coming months, it expects that Endrick's future will be defined, since the loan seems to be the best option for the player, growing and eventually to return to Real Madrid with more experience, ready to face the great challenges of European football. That second line about Potter is what I really want to talk about today. And the difference he's brought in the last 5 weeks than arguably the last 2 head coaches have at West Ham, or managers then head coach, in terms of youth. Now, actually, it coincides with an article in The Athletic where Moyes was quoted and saying, when he was in charge of West Ham, that Ole Scarles will be a Premier League player, and saw it back then. And to be honest, I saw it back then. I'm not saying I'm a Mystic Meg, but you could tell when I was watching the under 18s a couple of years ago, the boy stood out like a sore thumb in terms of just the ways he held himself. And so too does Lewis Orford, and people like that. And so I always talk about the Scarles effect. And it's something, as I said, I had the whole thing, the Scarles effect, like the Gillette effect, the best the youth can get. Now, 6 weeks ago, if we were linked with Endrick, we would have, and we probably will still have comments in the video saying, "What's the point? Another youth team player wasted, someone we're going to just rot on the bench, things like that. But this is different, my friends. We are in a different world at the moment. The signing, or hopefully the pre-contract agreement with Daniel Cummings, also shows to me a willingness for Potter to bring in the youth team, bring in youth players, younger players at a high level. And we're led to be believed, according to reports, that part of the negotiations with Daniel Cummings was, in essence, almost straight into the first team. That's where we want you. We want you to be in that first team. And indeed, you look at the players that are on the peripherals and towards the end of their contracts, the likes of Danny Ings, you can see easily someone Daniel Cummings could come in and be that Danny Ings role in the squad. Makes sense. And I think you're now seeing, and I spoke about it last week, I think, about his conveyor belt. And that stemmed from this gentleman here. I can never get it right. This gentleman here. His inclusion, and particularly his inclusion in the Arsenal game, and potentially starting today, and potentially being the number one right or left-sided number 3 shirt. It's not really number 3 shirt, but that role being his role now moving forward, and a transition from Emerson to Ole now has had a incredible effect on that academy. I was there last week, the week before Valentine's Day, and you could tell there was a real sense of just excitement. And we didn't have that, and it's not. I think it's a coincidence, but we've got now. I mean, the under-21s won on Monday night, wasn't it? Monday night, 6 Premier League wins in a row, PL2 wins. They went for a period at the end of the calendar year of losing. I think it was like 7 in a row under the Lopetegui era, so to speak, in terms of the head coach of the first team. Is that a coincidence? I don't know. Lewis Orford is looking like, Lewis has just been brilliant for the 21s, but in the last half dozen games, he seems like a completely different player now. He's playing with real confidence. He's playing with his chest out. You can see I think he's ran more with the ball than I've seen him run all season. Kalen seems to be, really embracing that sort of elder statesman role with the 21s. We know that Potter likes Luis Guilherme. He's apparently got the bit between his teeth in training as well. So we are really seeing this sort of groundswell of interest in the youth, and it's a two-way street. We're seeing that, and they're responding. We were led to believe that Noble, for because obviously Lewis and Ollie both signed longer term deals at the beginning of the season, and part of that was Mark Noble sort of insisting on this pathway for these guys, and you can see that with Lewis. I think next year we might see him go out on loan, maybe just to get that first team sort of buzz when we obviously welcome back hopefully Freddie Potts. There's a lot of calls for Josh Ajala to be featured in the first team. Personally, not yet. He's not ready yet. Yes, he's on fire for the 21s, but he is, for me, I just think it'll be another Mipo de Beko situation at the moment. Josh can have time. Josh will be banging that door next year, no doubt. Give him some preseason games, stuff like that. Too early for him now. Too early. I want him to succeed. I want him, he's a natural goal scorer, but for me, just a bit too early yet. I think you're going to have Daniel Cummings coming in and being that sort of go-between. I think Josh could have a full season in the 21s, maybe go out on loan next year, possibly as well. Then we'll see it. Then you'll see a player. Then you'll see a player. Just a bit too early for him. He struggles physically against under 21 defenders. What's he going to do at the moment? He needs to put on a little bit. Not so, and I'm not. He just needs a bit more muscle mass. Jermaine Defoe was never a massive bloke. He was skinny, but he was strong, and I just think he needs to get a bit more strength now. You see, Ollie. I mean, Ollie's, as I said, this season's been playing mainly in the midfield for the 21s, and it's really improved. He's stronger. You can see he's definitely physically stronger. He's more comfortable on the ball, and on Saturday he didn't look out of place. Didn't look out of place at all. Up against England's nationals like Raheem Sterling and stuff like that. And we've mentioned the fact that there is a bit of a gulf. There's a bit of a gap in England at the moment for another decent left back or left wing back. We've got obviously we've got Lewis Hall and stuff like that. But there's a real opportunity definitely for him to break into the 21s this year. I would suggest, and then who knows? Who knows? So I think it's not beyond the realms of possibility that we could get an Endrick coming in the summer on loan. But that's dependent on what happens, obviously, with Lucas. And we know that, we've spoken about it. We've seen Anton spoke about it, the timeline, end of March, couple of weeks. So, and I know he's not going to be available for today. However, he is ahead of schedule, so he may well be available for Monday, the 10th. And so it may be the count that we may only see him for another handful of games if he's found guilty. We don't know, do we? It's in the land of the gods, really. In all honesty, that whole thing, I mean, I don't want to comment. I'm not a, you only read what's in the paper and read what's been written in articles and stuff. But I think it's up in the air, really. In all honesty, in terms of what goes on. But I think there'll be plenty of legal challenges afterwards, regardless of what happens. If he is found guilty, then there will be an appeal. And then that prolongs everything a little bit longer as well. So, anyway, I'm not talking about that now. I'm talking about Ole and the effect he's having. This one man, this one boy, is making a massive splash, and it's rippling throughout the academy, and also for our targets as well. As I said, Endrick, we've been linked with the likes of Banzuzi and people like that in January, which obviously didn't have time to get them in. But these youngsters now, they're seeing actually, with Ollie, there is a pathway there at West Ham. So where traditionally we'd sign an 18-year-old, 19-year-old player, and all the comments be, he's going to be wasting the 21, like Louise Al and stuff like that. I don't think that's the case now. I don't think that's the case, which is a great thing for West Ham fans. Seeing the academy boys come through. And it doesn't have to be 3, 4, 5, 1 or 2. That's all we want. That's all we really, that's all realistically I think you'll see coming at once, 1 or 2. Next season, we spoke about it before, I imagine you see Freddie Potts come back, and then he'll be chasing that sort of CDM role. Maybe even more so if we're led to believe that maybe Alvarez might be out the door in the summer. We don't know what's going to happen, But yeah, I just thought it was I just saw it, and then putting 2 and 2 together kind of put something in, I was just a bit of a brain dump more than anything. But it's reasons to be cheerful, isn't it? Reasons to be cheerful. Hopefully we have some reasons to be cheerful about 10 o'clock tonight in the UK. We'll have the starting 11 show and the review show afterwards, so keep an eye on the channel. We had the Stat Attack earlier. We had Old School Hammers on last night. Jamie fell asleep and forgot it. Forgot his show. No, he didn't fall asleep. He's a very busy man, unfortunately. He was just too busy, unfortunately. But anyway, and then next week we've got some really fun stuff happening. We've got, as I said, we've got a new show format we're going to be rolling out, and hopefully we can get that Miami's 11 we're going to get this week, but they didn't get back to me. So I tell you, they have messaged me. We'll get it in for next week. Anyway, take care, everyone. Stay safe, stay warm, stay humble. If you're new around here, don't forget to like, comment, share, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. Much love, my friends. Come on, you Lions.